Welcome to Kevin Dale Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the Fotopro UFO tripod. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and if you like my style, I highly encourage you to check out my F11 Photography Podcast. It's a weekly podcast where we discuss all in-depth things photography related. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can check us out on both Apple and Spotify, but now back to today's episode. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Dale Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. So back in 2019, my family and I decided to take a vacation to Italy, and like all photographers do in Italy, you bring a bunch of photography equipment because it's a very beautiful place to take pictures of. So I scoured Amazon looking for a flexible tripod, and I landed on the Fotopro UFO, the original one. I purchased it with my own money. I took it on that vacation, and it did an incredible job of capturing great memories of me and my family. Since 2019, the world has had quite a few changes, and a personal change of my own is that I started a YouTube channel that was focused around photography equipment. And since then, coincidentally, Fotopro, the very same company that I purchased this original tripod from, reached out to me and asked me if I would review the third version of the UFO. That's right, the UFO3. And Fotopro sent me 2 of these in exchange for a review, but like all of my reviews, my opinions are going to be completely independent and they are going to be my own. I'm going to tell you what I like about this tripod, and I'm going to tell you what I think could be improved upon about this tripod. So, since I have the original UFO, let's see how much of an improvement they've made on that original design. As I hold these next to each other, they're roughly the same length. However, there are significant improvements that I see off the bat with the UFO 3 that make me excited to try it out. For starters, when I purchased this in 2019, it did not have a ball mount on it. Therefore, I had to go find a third-party ball mount to screw on. And the ending result of that is that this tripod all of a sudden had a little bit of an imbalance that I didn't prefer. It was really top-heavy, really tall, and it worked. It did a good job, but it left me hoping that maybe they could make improvements on the design for future versions. And happy to report, they did that. They have an aluminum ball mount built into this, and they even have a quick release now, which is pretty cool. On the hinge part, they got rid of these plastic pieces, these large plastic pieces, which I think is an advantage now because I think it makes the diameter of it a little smaller and more compact, and so it can fit in your bag a little easier. So got to give them props for that. And of course, when you do put the ball mount on here, it's almost twice the weight as the new one. So I can already tell off the bat that there are going to be some cool things about this that I prefer to the original. But we're going to take it on some shoots in this episode. We're going to use it for vlogging. I'm going to use it on some photo shoots. I'll use it with my GoPro. I'll even do a weight test and see how much camera this thing can take. So if you're looking at this video and you're wondering, will my model of camera work on this? We'll get to the very bottom of that. Another thing they give you is a clamp for your phone, which has a hinge where you can use it in both landscape and portrait mode. And that's pretty cool. And we're definitely going to test that out today. But first, let's go over the specs. The Fotopro UFO3 flexible tripod is a flexible table tripod for both cameras and smartphones. It's built of quality materials like PA66GF, which is incredibly sturdy. It's able to adjust for quick vertical shooting, it has flexible legs, it has a multi-angle ball head, it's easy to clean, and it has a quick mount system. It also has a leveler. It comes in 4 colors: black, gray, green, and orange. It's robust and it's resistant to falls. It can be tightly wound for increased friction if you want to wrap it around something like a pole or a tree branch. It only weighs 0.25 kilograms and has a storage length of 25.7 centimeters. And it comes in at a street price of less than $20 US. So now that we've gone over the specs, let's go check this guy out in the field. So how much weight can the UFO3 hold? Well, Right now, you are watching me record with a Canon R8 and an RF14-35 f4 lens on it. I will put the weight below and you can determine if that's enough for your camera. We'll also take it back to my studio and we'll put more weight on it to see how much it can actually hold. But another advantage of having the UFO3 is that I now don't have to bring a tall tripod to get a good shot, because the shot you're seeing right now is a shot of that R8 and RF14-35 f4 on a tree. Yes, that's right. I have this expensive setup just latched onto a tree with the 3 legs. That's a beautiful thing about having those articulating legs, is you can wrap them around poles, tree branches, etc., and you can get the shot that you need. And another great thing is that the ball mount is quite sturdy. The camera's not sagging at all, and it's doing an incredible job of maintaining this shot. So now let's see how well this guy can do for vlogging. I'm gonna just take this off right now. I'm gonna extend it out. We're gonna do everything in real time. I'm also going to take this to 14 millimeters, and there we go. We're in a full frame setup here. I'm walking around, I have my arm extended out, and this is what you get with it. I do have an image stabilized lens, but I do not have an image stabilized camera. So this is how smooth of a shot you can expect with a non-image stabilized camera, but an image stabilized lens. So that's pretty cool. Now I'm gonna show you my Fuji X-H2 in vlog mode, and you can see how well that works. So as you can see, the UFO3 in conjunction with my Fuji X-H2 creates some pretty smooth shots. As you can see right here, I'm putting a pretty significant amount of pressure on that ball joint with my X-H2, the spider plate, and the Tamron 17-70, and it's performing admirably, and there's no sag. I also tested out my GoPro, as you can see right here, and I think the shots on the GoPro are also very smooth. And then I went ahead and I used the accessory for my iPhone. I connected that to the UFO3, and as you can see right here, once again, pretty smooth shots. So I think we've established that the UFO3 for vlogging is a home run. I also took my UFO3 around the park. I put it on some poles. I went ahead and just used it quote unquote normally as a table tripod, and I just wanted to demonstrate all the different ways you can use the UFO3. So anyway, let's go try this out on a professional shoot of mine and see how well it can assist me there. Before my shoot, I went ahead and I took the Fotopro, my R8, and my 14-35, and I actually mounted them onto the steering wheel of my car. I wanted to talk to the camera before I started to do a review of a lens for my Fuji system, and as you can see right here, it does an incredible job. There's no sag. It's giving me a stable shot. So as long as your camera and lens is not too heavy, you can pretty much mount the UFO3 anywhere. You can also see right here that it set up this really cool shot when I was taking pictures of Deborah, and so I can definitely say with absolute certainty that the UFO3 can assist me on my professional jobs, and oftentimes I can leave my taller tripods at home. But now let's take this back to the studio and let's do a weight test. Okay, so for the moment of truth, we're gonna see how much weight this UFO3 holds. My heaviest camera is technically my R5, but when I put the cage on it, my video camera, my R7, is actually my heaviest camera. And I'm gonna put the Canon RF 28-70 f2 on here. So this is a little over 3 pounds, and this is about 1.5 pounds, and then this probably adds another pound. So all in all, we're at what, 3, 4.5, 5 or 6 pounds, give or take. So I also have this little rod on here that I use for my focus pulling system. So let's just see what happens when we put, gosh, what is this, a couple kilos at least? So for a shot like this, there's no sag. Now I guarantee you if I start tilting this, it's gonna start sagging. Yeah, there it is. The 28-70 is an extreme example. I was able to do it for a shot where the camera was facing forward, but I wasn't able to do it at a shot where there's an angle. However, for more practical lenses that you would probably use for video, I've already demonstrated several times throughout this video that my 14-35 did fine. My 24-105 also does fine. So for common use, most zoom lenses that aren't insanely heavy, like this 28-70, will work just fine. And in some cases, I got the 28-70 to work. So that's a pretty cool summary of how much weight you can hold on there. Obviously, if you're a Sony user or if you're maybe a Panasonic user, you may have to just like cross-reference your lenses to Canon. So now that we've concluded the weight test, let me tell you how I feel about the UFO3. The pros: it's a $20 tripod, and you've seen all the cool things that it can do throughout this video. So it's an excellent value. We're just gonna get that out of the way for the pros. But they've added cool things that I talked about at the beginning of the video. I love the fact that there's now a leveler on here. There wasn't a leveler on my original one. I love the fact that there's a quick release, which is awesome. With the first version of this, I lived with the fact that this third-party ball mount added extra weight and extra length to the UFO 1. And when I put like my 24 to 105, which I've proven works just fine with the UFO 3 on there, sometimes it would sag with the UFO, the original UFO. So this is definitely an improvement. It does hold more weight. I can't really tell if these new legs are better as far as holding up, but they definitely are easier to bend than the original. And so I'm going to put that under the pros as well. I love how light it is. I love how thin the diameter is on it. There's just a lot of really cool things to like about it. From a design standpoint, I do think this looks a little nicer than the older design. Maybe it's just recency bias because I have something new and fresh to look at, but I do like the way that this one looks a little better. So let's talk about the things that I think could be improved upon. There were only a couple that really stood out to me. We do have to keep in mind that this is only a $20 product, but they were both revolved around this quick release. Well, I did say that the quick release is an awesome thing to add to this. If I lose this, it's proprietary. There's no replacement for it. You pretty much just have to buy a new tripod. The other thing that's unfortunate about this is most quick releases on the plates, there's usually a way to tighten it from the bottom. You can't do that with this. And so when you put this quick release on there and you want to attach a camera to it, a lot of times you just have to like turn it and then turn the camera until the camera tightens. Unfortunately, there's no way to fine tune it from the bottom. So if I want to take this quick release plate off, I can't just do it with my fingers. I have to actually put it in here and then start twisting the tripod. I would like to see Fotopro do it the more traditional way where you screw it in from the bottom, because if I screw it in from the bottom, then I can fine tune which direction that this plate is facing as I tighten it and it fine tunes. You can't do that with this, unfortunately, and you have to just kind of shimmy it around a little bit. And like I said, taking that plate off is a pain. I can unscrew this from the bottom and I can take it off, and I don't have to connect it to a tripod and then twist the tripod. Those are really the only two things that I can find that I would improve upon about it, and the pros far outweigh the cons, and for $20, you're getting a lot for your money. So let's talk about who I recommend this for and who should avoid this. First of all, you should avoid this if you need to carry a lot of weight on a tripod. Obviously, you saw as I demonstrated my RF28-70 on my R7 with the cage and all that, it was too top heavy, but chances are if you need a rig that's that heavy, you're not looking at a portable tripod like this to begin with. And that's really it as far as who should avoid it, who should purchase it. Well, people who are content creators, maybe you have a TikTok channel and you want to just put your phone up in a really unique place because you don't want to carry a tripod around for your phone. Obviously, that's a lot to carry, a tall tripod for a tiny phone. This is a tiny tripod for a phone, but because it's so strong, I can also recommend this for people such as myself who are YouTubers who have something like an R8 and a 14 to 35, or maybe you're a Sony user and you're making a YouTube channel with your Sony equipment or your Panasonic equipment. I think it's great for that. And obviously, the traveler, if you're going to take this to a place like Italy, or you're going to go to Europe, you're going to go wherever, if you want to have space in your bag that's not being taken up by a great big tripod, this is the tripod that I recommend for you. That does it for today's episode. I thank each and every one of you for watching today. If you liked this review, tell me about it in the comments below. Have you ordered your UFO 3 yet? Tell me about that in the comments below. And if you like this channel, I humbly ask you to click the subscribe button below. And if you want to hear my uncensored opinions about photography and videography, I highly recommend you go check out the F11 Photography Podcast, which can be found on all major platforms, including Apple and Spotify. And now we have our own channel on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description below. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.